What's going on, YouTube? For decades, there has been an intense battle going on between Toyota and Honda for the hearts of American families. For the longest time, Accord and Camry were the go-to choices for most people. But tastes have shifted over the years, and that intense battle has also shifted to RAV4 and CR-V instead. These are now both brands' best sellers, and two of the very top-selling vehicles in the US, period. After spending time with them, it's easy to see why they are so popular. But which of these two is the best option? To find out, we're pitting this all-new CR-V against the also updated RAV4. Let's get into it and see which model reigns supreme. So first off, to get things established, let's quickly talk about the trims and pricing of these two. Starting with the all-new CR-V, we have the fully loaded model, which is now known as Sport Touring. This top model also comes standard with the hybrid powertrain, all-wheel drive, and every single option available, meaning its all-in price rings in at $39,845. Moving to the RAV4, we have the equivalent fully loaded model, called Limited Hybrid. Unlike the Honda, there are some extra features you can add to make your RAV4 extra decked out. But if you do choose those options, it will become one of the pricier options in the class, at $44,030 with destination. We will revisit that price difference later on in the value section, but for now let's go ahead and jump right into the meat and potatoes of this comparison. So taking a look at the exteriors, you can tell right off the bat that both are fairly aggressive looking, but not in an offensive way. The RAV4 continues with mostly the same design that it's had for the last few years, which borrows some rugged looking elements from the 4Runner. The CR-V's design is of course totally new this year, and it looks substantially more aggressive than the previous generation. The gloss black grille extends into the headlights, which are fully LED on all models. The RAV4 also has fully LED headlights, but it has the advantage of having LED fog lamps. Continuing to the sides, CR-V has grown from the last generation, so that it's now about 4 inches longer than the RAV4. It also has the more aggressive design versus the RAV4's more rugged look, with substantial differences in the way each model does their body cladding and surfacing. The other noteworthy difference is that the CR-V has 1 inch larger wheels, at 19s instead of 18s. Heading out back, again those same themes repeat. Picking an overall design preference will be up to you, but as far as some of the features, both have rear spoilers, exposed wipers, and mostly LED taillight units. I do appreciate that even though both are hybrids, they still include dual-tipped exhaust outlets. For those of you interested in towing small trailers, the RAV4 can handle up to 1,750 pounds versus 1,000 in the CR-V. Now checking out some of the individual odd and end features, both of their mirrors have heating and blind spot monitoring. And both models come standard with all the available active safety features no matter which trim level you choose. Those suites both include full speed adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, and auto high beam headlights. And finally, let's talk about the warranties. Both enjoy 3-year 36,000 mile basic and 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranties. And new for 2023, Honda is now including 2 years of complimentary maintenance to match what Toyota already has. But you'll spend far more time on the insides than gazing at the exteriors, so let's go ahead and check out the cabins before we take them out for a spin. So approaching both models, you will find smart entry systems as expected. Just be aware that only the CR-V has remote start on the fob without a subscription. Now once you open up the doors, you'll find nice looking interiors with a few similar design characteristics, such as the placements of the screens. Other than that, there are plenty of differences, starting with the seating. The CR-V uses real leather versus the Softex leatherette that the RAV4 has. But the Toyota has seat ventilation, which is something Honda is not offering. Otherwise, both models have seat heating, 10 ways of power adjustment, and 2-person memory. Once we actually climb inside the cabins, we can check out the broad category of material quality. In this case, it kind of feels like materials and quality should be split up, because of their differing strengths. RAV4 wins on materials because it's using a lot of leatherette materials over the door trim and dashboard. But the Honda's plastics have a more solid and high quality feel to them, which is something hard to convey on camera, but definitely noticeable in person. Once you fire the two crossovers up, you'll see a half digital and half analog gauge cluster on the Honda, but new for 2023 in the RAV4 is a 12.3-inch full digital cluster. Due to its imminent arrival at dealerships, we've gone ahead and updated this comparison to reflect the two tech upgrades that the 2023 RAV4 has, which are the model's only changes. Neither of them will offer head-up displays, and both of them have rain-sensing wipers. Pulling back to the steering wheels, they are leather-wrapped and heated. But moving on to the important aspect of interior storage, Honda is known for their large and sometimes clever storage solutions. In the new CR-V, some of the clever elements from the previous gen are gone, but the size remains. Its center console is the largest in the class, and its front bin is also larger than the already large RAV4s as well. But the RAV4 fights back with a storage shelf, so we're going to have to call this one even. Taking a look at the shifters next, both are sticking with traditional ones, but once in reverse you will see a difference with the rear view cameras. While neither have particularly good resolution, the RAV4 has an available 360-degree camera option, which is something not currently offered on the CR-V. Moving up to the middle of the dashboard, both have dual-zone automatic climate controls with simple-to-use knobs. And before we talk about the displays, let's go ahead and sample the audio systems. While the speaker counts are almost the same, the CR-V's Bose system has the richer and more balanced sound quality. Alright, so back to those displays. Crucially, this is the second of the two 2023 updates for the RAV4, since it has moved to a 10.5-inch display instead of the previous 9-inch one, and gained the newest Toyota multimedia software. That means its display is now larger than the Honda's 9-inch one, though both of them have new functionality of wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, in addition to their built-in nav systems. As we wrap up the front of the cabins, there are still several differences left. Both models have auto-dimming mirrors, but only the Toyota has the built-in HomeLink universal remotes, and the ability to turn into a rear camera mirror if visibility is obstructed by something. Additionally, the new generation of CR-V has opted not to add a panoramic sunroof, which is something the RAV4 does make available on several trims. Now heading to the rear areas, things begin to heat up. If you know anything about the CR-V, it's probably that it's very large on the inside, and this new generation continues that trend. While normal-sized adults will be comfortable in both, legroom in the CR-V is absolutely cavernous, and over 8% greater than in the RAV4. As far as the features back here, both models have rear vents and two USB-C ports for charging devices, but only the RAV4 has heated rear seats. The other advantage when it comes to rear seat comfort is that the CR-V's seats recline further than the Toyota's, and now have 8 levels you can choose from for max comfort. Moving out back, the two crossovers have hands-free power tailgates on their upper trim models. And once they open up, the rear seat situation repeats. CR-V exceeds the already very spacious RAV4 by over 9% when it comes to maximum cargo capacity. I will point out though that due to different packaging of their hybrid systems, Toyota was able to provide a spare tire, which Honda could not fit in. Alright, we're done with the interiors now, so let's take them out for a drive and see which one delivers the best experience out on the road. So heading out on the road with these two, we have both a number of similarities and differences. As I already mentioned, both models today are equipped with hybrid powertrains, which deliver more power and higher MPGs. The RAV4 system is made up of a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder and all the electric components for a total output of 219 horsepower. Honda's new hybrid system uses a smaller 2-liter 4-cylinder instead, which combined with its electric componentry makes 204 total horsepower. As you might expect, the power advantage does help the RAV4 accelerate a bit faster than the CR-V. Above 60 miles an hour, just like that. So of course, this being the hybrid model, that actually is going to mean that we're going to have a little bit more power than the gas-powered model, and you can feel that from behind the wheel. So total system is 219 horsepower, which is pretty good, and really shoots you off pretty nicely.
Yeah, the thing about the hybrid is that the battery components give you that instantaneous torque when you're taking off. So from a dead standstill acceleration like that, it's actually really impressive. It takes off with a lot of force.
Alright, so that was our run up to 60 miles per hour in this all-new Honda CR-V hybrid. So one of the nice things about this hybrid system is that it actually is more powerful than the standard gas option. That's why it's in the sport trim levels. So this is a new two-motor hybrid system that Honda has designed. As the name implies, it does have two electric motors, and that's going to be paired to a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, as well as a battery pack. Total system output on this is going to be 204 horsepower, 246 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you remember the previous generation, that's actually a little bit less on the horsepower, but quite a bit more on the torque. And this is actually the torquiest CR-V that Honda has ever made. But as far as accelerating up to speed, what you just saw, it feels quite nice. Now, these hybrid systems are quite different from each other in terms of engineering, which we won't get into for this consumer-focused comparison. For example, both models refer to their transmissions as e-CVTs, even though neither of them are actually CVTs in the traditional sense. They call them that because they operate in a similar way if you've ever experienced a continuously variable transmission. Though I will point out that the Honda has shift simulation, which helps it sound less drony than the Toyota. Now I want to go ahead and talk about the transmission. That is, of course, something that's different from the full gas-powered RAV4. Instead of an 8-speed automatic, we're going to have the e-CVT. Now another thing you might have been noticing was the transmission. So this does have an e-CVT transmission, but Honda has added a new shift simulation this year versus what they had previously. It's really a good simulation. It's actually quite realistic. I feel like a lot of people aren't even going to realize that this is a version of a continuously variable transmission. And you just have the fact that it overall is very responsive. So when you put your foot down, you don't have to wait a long time. You don't have this weird rubber bandy feel like some older CVTs have had in the past. It's really nice and responsive. Now, speaking of sound, once the engines have quieted down after acceleration and you've made it up to highway speed, you're probably wondering, how quiet are they? In our sound decibel readings, we found that they scored very close to each other.
And I also want to get a sound level reading because we found this vehicle to be very quiet. Now, granted, it is very windy today, but looking at 60.6 was the lowest reading that we were able to get there.
So we're on Highway 101 here in California. Not the smoothest road of all time, but as you know, we like to get our sound level readings here at Car Confections, and I'll go ahead and let Josh fire up our sound level reader and get a reading here at 55 miles per hour.
Alright, so it looks at 55 miles an hour, going to be around 61.2 decibels.
Keep in mind that they were both tested under conditions that were not ideal, extreme wind and a rougher California road. So I'd expect to normally see numbers a little lower than these. Now, as far as other driving characteristics, neither of them is designed to be sporty per se, but they both handle reasonably well. The Honda in particular exhibits nice body control and steering that is fast, accurate, and not too light. That's going to be the chassis and the handling. So Honda always kind of bakes in a little bit more athleticism than many of their rivals, and that does continue for this model. It's actually 15% stiffer than the previous generation, and you can actually feel that as you go around corners or as I just turn here in a straight line. And the steering is also very responsive. You have immediate reaction, even though it is of course a little bit light as you'd expect for this type of vehicle. They both also ride very nicely and absorb all but the largest road imperfections. Toyota and Honda make two of the best hybrid systems on the market, and the transitions between electric and engine power are seamless and never felt, although they are sometimes heard. Now, of course, when it comes to a hybrid system, you do have a lot of, handoffs between running on electric power and gas power, and I'm happy to say Honda continues to make a very, very smooth system. Really, the only thing that indicates to you that you switched over to engine power is the audible. But the ultimate test of a hybrid system's worth is what kind of fuel economy it achieves, and both far exceed their traditional gas counterparts. However, it's the RAV4 that continues to lead all other hybrids in the class, and the CR-V by 3 mpg combined. But now that we've gone through everything, let's return to the price difference and account for that. The RAV4, when fully loaded, rang in $4,185 more expensive than the CR-V, meaning that the Honda will get a half point per $1,000 of difference, or 2 points. Wow, so that's it for this hard-fought comparison. After spending extensive time with both products, it's easy to see why Americans buy close to 500,000 of these each annually, at least in normal times. But what do you guys think? Which one would you choose for yourself and your family? Let us know in the comments below. Anyway guys, thanks for joining us for this Car Confections comparison. And be sure to subscribe for more comparisons and our signature full review videos. When you subscribe, it makes it easier for us to get access to the latest vehicles on the market for you to see first. Also, give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok as well for shorter forms of automotive content. We'll see you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.